This is Ben Williams, and I'm coming to you from the Williston oil field today. We had a major flash crash, and a lot of people don't understand it, and I can tell by the things that are said about these stop losses being triggered, and they're saying things like, why would someone set a stop loss at such a low price, and things like that. So I want to clear the air and explain the mechanics of what happens when someone decides to, with what I believe either they're retarded millionaire, or they're just selling $30 million worth of Ethereum with bad intentions. Now, it's totally possible for someone to accumulate $30 million worth of ETH on margin trading. I mean, I was able to acquire quite a bit, and I'm not even that good of a margin trader, but I do believe that someone out there could have, even though they're not a big Ethereum fan or whatever, they could be like, I'm just going to stockpile the crap out of it because I know it's going up, and then when I see fit, I'll just freaking dump it all. So anyhow, I believe you don't get $30 million worth of Ethereum, and you're not intelligent enough to know what's going to happen when you dump it off on an exchange. Okay, so what we had yesterday is, look, this isn't an exact replica of the GDax order book. It's just, you'll have buy orders, and up here is like the most expensive price you're willing, someone's willing to buy 150 ETH at, like, let's say $320 each. This one might be for, this 800 order might be for $329, and so on and so forth, all the way down. It gets cheaper. And then over here you got your sell orders, and sell orders go from cheap to more expensive. So down here, this might be for, sell at $345, 2,000 ETH, and this one might be for $344, and then it gets cheaper as you go up. So then in theory you'd have this guy wanting to sell for this 400 for $320.50. All right, so if that makes sense to you now, so then you get kind of a matching between these, and people come in and they buy and they sell. And then some douchebag over here has about, they said about $30 million worth of ETH, and that would represent 93,750 Ethereum would have been approximately in the ballpark of what would have been getting sold. So you go to here, and does he just fucking put in the order? No, he doesn't just put in the order. I'll tell you what he did here in a second. But notice this could quite possibly represent an average day order book on GDax. What he does here is he sets what he's willing to take. He says, I'll sell this for, well, fuck, looking at this, I know I'll sell it for, shit, I'll say I'll sell it for $100 each. 93. Okay, so what's going to happen when he executes it and says sell at that price? It'll hit these buys. Okay, and since he said he'll sell it for all the way down to 100, it takes out all the 320s. So the 320s bought it automatically, the 329s, the 328s, and so on and so forth, all the way down. And then you get to a point where someone's got a stop loss in, and what happens is all of a sudden their Ethereum pops up for sale automatically and is trying to execute. and then more Ethereum keeps popping up because of these stop losses. And then on top of that, then you start getting the margin calls. Now, once you start getting into the margin calls, it's kind of pretty much at that point it's game over. Once people start getting margin called, because they usually hold massive amounts of Ethereum, because usually they can borrow 2 times what it. So if someone has 500 Ethereum, they can margin 1,000. Okay, so if they're margined to the max, now all of a sudden that 500 Ethereum has to come up for sale. Okay, there was over 800 orders that were stop loss orders that hit the markets, and then on top of that you had, and those weren't margin orders. Those were just regular people who were holding ETH that said, if the price falls below X, my Ethereum goes to the market. And what happens is you had over 93,000 Ethereum hit the market, and the trader had to say, I'll sell as low as $100 or even maybe $50, and made it wham, hit the fucking book, hit all these buy orders, and then kept going down all the way through. And then what happens is, because of the stop losses, those 800 accounts with stop losses in them, all of a sudden Ethereum that wasn't for sale becomes for sale. And it can't sell unless there's buy orders to buy it. And at one point, no one thinks to put in a buy order all the way down, to 100, 200. No one really thinks to do that. Now, there was people that had buy orders down at 10 cents. Those got filled. That's sad as fuck, because that means those people who had those stop losses in, to avoid major losses, it was the idea of a stop losses, to kick you out of a trade to avoid a massive loss, ended up losing way more than what they would have if they would have never had a stop loss in the first place. They would have lost nothing, literally nothing, because 45 minutes later, when the exchange came online, ETH was trading for $300. But those people, those stop losses, sold all their Ethereum for like $15, $10, $1, 50 cents, 10 cents, and then all those margin accounts too. All of a sudden, what happens is, between the margin trading and the stop losses, all this ETH that wasn't really for sale had to become for sale. Because for one, you have a stop loss, and they make, when you put in that stop loss, you're at this for sale, and it goes into a whole a crowd of ETH that is being sold. It goes in with this, and whatever gets triggered, and it fucking comes on here, and it might come to you. Your stop loss might have been at at 300, but a whole bunch of other people's ETH became for sale at 300. So no stop losses is a pretty good fucking idea. In this market, you don't want to have a stop loss. I mean, it's not like the regular stock market. You'll have your stop loss set at 300. It could execute at 175 if you're lucky. It could execute at freaking pennies on the dollar. And that's exactly what happened. And I do believe that this bastard here knew what he was fucking doing. And probably before that went to execute, he did put in buy orders down here for 50 cents,
40 cents, you know, all the way down to 10 cents. He might have put in a few for $1. He was like, I don't know how bad this is going to be or how bad I can make it, but we'll do 6s, we'll do 7s, we'll do 8s. And him and his buddies racked all that up. I wouldn't be shocked at all. I mean, it's simple mechanics of this market. Anyway, Ben Williams from North Dakota. God, guys, I feel bad for my ETH bulls. Ben Williams out.